Hello and welcome to The Wire. I am Sunita Vishwanath. On the 26th of January, which was the Republic Day of India, a regular congressional briefing took place in the United States of America. That briefing, which was organized by multiple organizations together by a coalition of organizations, and it is a routine exercise which takes place, is now under the eye of a storm. There are multiple statements which are being made in Indian media. There are multiple statements which are coming from the BJP and from the ruling government against this briefing which took place. The organization which is being singularly highlighted about this congressional briefing is the Indian American Muslim Council. Now, in this briefing, there were members of the Congress Senate of the United States of America, as well as the former Vice President of India, Hamid Ansari. They were discussing and they were highlighting how the human rights situation in India is under threat. They were mentioning discussions around civil liberties, the shrinking spaces of dissent in the country, and they were trying to discuss the accountability of the Modi government. Now, to take us through the kind of conversations which have happened since the congressional briefing took place, since the online discussion took place, we are joined by Sunita Vishwanath. Thank you so much. She is the Executive Director of Hindus for Human Rights. And I'm really glad that you took out the time to speak to us, to take us through what really happened, and to offer us some insight into what is going on. Thank you, Sunita, so much for joining us. We welcome you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. So to just bring our viewers to an understanding as to what has really happened since the 26th of January, because we're seeing a lot of conversation in the Indian media and from the ministry as well, and official statements coming out against, they're saying, this so-called event which took place. So what was the congressional briefing and what was the purpose of it? If you could just take us through that.
Yes, let me start by saying that Hindus for Human Rights is a US-based nonprofit advocacy organization, and we were formed just after this BJP government in India was re-elected. So the summer of 2019 is when Hindus for Human Rights was formed, and we were formed with the specific mission of raising our voice and doing advocacy on human rights in South Asia and North America. And our biggest focus right now is India, because it's where most of us in Hindus for Human Rights are from. And we are all very concerned about the direction that India is going in under this Hindu nationalist government. And it's pretty obvious by our name, we seek to mobilize Hindus to speak up against Hindutva, Hindu nationalism, Hindu extremism. So these congressional briefings, we've been doing them since even before Hindus for Human Rights was formed. And I've even spoken at them before this organization was formed as a Hindu. And the idea of the congressional briefings is that we focus, and the congressional briefings are organized by a growing coalition of human rights organizations, Indian and non-Indian, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Dalit, Sikh, secular. We have Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. So it's a really robust coalition of organizations. And something to say about that, what is being lost in the current moment in India, or what is being attacked, is that secular fabric of India, where different voices, different communities, different platforms come together in common cause. So it's really important for us to come together as a diverse coalition to raise these issues. And so each at this point, these congressional briefings are happening every 2 weeks. And each time we focus on a different aspect of human rights, religious freedom in India. And this particular briefing, January 26th, was Republic Day briefing. And so we went all out to bring some notable, well-known names to come and raise their voice and raise their concerns about democracy in India. And we were very honored to have former Vice President Hamid Ansari and several elected officials, congressmen, senators from the US. We also had a former president of the country of Mauritius. We really wanted to get attention for this congressional briefing. And the idea is not to, we've been accused of hating India, criticizing India. The idea is not to badmouth the country that we are from. Us and Hindus for Human Rights and many of our, and certainly Indian American Muslim Council. The reason we are doing this advocacy is because we love India And we do not want it to go down this very dark and dangerous path.
Absolutely. And so since the briefing has taken place, it has, garnered a lot of attention in the wrong kind of way. It seems to have upset the government. Do you feel that you all and this coalition is being targeted? Do you feel that this was some sort of a smear campaign against the coalition, or because they feel, do you think that there is a sense in the Indian government that they are being targeted internationally, or their reputation is being ruined? How do you view, and what kind of statements have you been at the receiving end of? Because we've seen a lot of statements, and if you can break those down for us, and how do you all view that?
So I wrote in the Wire about the strange situation where Hindus for Human Rights is shoulder to shoulder with the other the coalition members, especially in the American Muslim Council, in organizing these fora. And we haven't received any messages, and we haven't really heard from the media. We might be mentioned in passing, but really nothing is directed at us. The organization and the speaker who were singled out for vitriolic, hateful, vile attacks in the Indian media are Indian American Muslim Council and former Vice President Hamid Ansari. And it's not a coincidence that they're both Muslim. So what is happening is that the Muslims who are part of this effort are being singled out with baseless, horrible allegations. And we certainly, and all our coalition members, stand by them. And they are grateful to them for being brave to speak up, especially for people inside India to speak up on these issues takes a lot of courage. And I will also add that I won't name them, but we asked quite a few people within India to come and speak at this particular briefing. And it's dangerous. People want to come and speak, but this is a congressional briefing where we are inviting members of the US government. And it's something that people hesitate to do because of exactly this kind of backlash that we are seeing right now. If I can add, this idea of it being wrong or anti-India to raise issues of democracy and human rights on an international stage, I really want to push back on that. Yeah. I was present in Houston during Howdy Modi. I was not inside. I was, as far as I know, the only Hindu outside protesting Howdy Modi. And what happened inside was a global stage far larger than our little congressional briefing that happened on Zoom. There were 52,000 people there, and the whole world was watching. And the heads of America and India, Donald Trump and Narendra Modi, gave each other a certificate. They hugged each other and signaled to the world that they are aligned in their values and in their solidarity. If that's okay, then why is our congressional briefing where human rights advocates are coming together to speak up about our deep concern, why is that not okay?
Absolutely. My final question to you is to bring the focus back to the kind of discussions which took place during the briefing. So there is a coalition of 17 such organizations, and as you mentioned, that it's a growing coalition. Do you see that internationally there is a growing concern against the kind of violence which is taking place in India? And what are the concerns right now? Where is this conversation at internationally when we look at the human rights situation in India?
When we started a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, when we started Hindus for Human Rights, it was so recently, but it was really hard to get international attention and traction for these issues of deteriorating human rights and democracy in India. But things are escalating in India. Things are getting so much worse. We entered this new year with genocide calls, explicit calls for genocide against Muslims in Haridwar, followed by the Christmas Day targeting of churches, and then this really disgusting bully by targeting of Muslim women. Some of those women are friends of ours. So all of these hate incidents are making their way into international news, and people are noticing, countries are noticing, leaders are noticing. So as a result, our advocacy is also gaining visibility. And there's no question that if things keep going in this direction, the forces of resistance will have to, because how can we not? If we are justice oriented, loving, caring human beings who really want everybody to be safe and care about minority rights in any country, how can we not raise our voices? It's our mandate. And human rights organizations, it's definitely our mandate. It's why we exist. The congressional briefing that happened 2 weeks before Republic Day featured the speaker, Dr. Gregory Stanton, the founder of Genocide Watch. That briefing also got international and Indian media attention. And Dr. Stanton and his organization, Genocide Watch, is the one that 5 years before the Rwandan genocide predicted it. So they really have a system to track indicators and give warnings, alerts when a country is on the path towards a genocide. And the alert has been given to India. And so we are not the only voices. There are many more voices than ours, and this voice of sanity is going to grow. And I only hope and pray that the people, the citizens of India, it is still a democracy, and the citizens of India, especially the majority community, the Hindu community, my community, I hope that they wake up and use the power of their vote and their voice to turn this around, because the consequences will be catastrophic if that doesn't happen.
All right. So on that note, I'd like to bring this conversation to an end. Thank you so much, Sunita, for joining us and so for putting all these things in perspective for us. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.